How's it going, everyone, and welcome to our franchise mode wrap-up with the Pittsburgh Pirates on MLB The Show 23. Today is showing you a full 20-year simulation with the Pirates, picking up from where we're leaving off after 10 years with the franchise. In this live stream franchise mode series, we took over the Pirates at the beginning of the 2023 season, and up until that point, the Pirates, through their 141 years of history, had only seen 17 postseason appearances and 5 World Series titles, not to mention only 3 playoff appearances in the last 30 years. So we took over the Pirates organization at a very low point in the franchise's history, and as you can see on the screen right here, we had a lot of regular season success. We missed the playoffs in year number 1, but then made the postseason for 9 consecutive years. We won 7 NL Central titles in 10 years as well, but our real struggles came in the postseason. Although we had a combined record of .969 and .651, which gave us an average record over 10 years of 97 and 65, close to a 60% win percentage, we went 21 and 33 in the postseason through 54 games. The NLDS was our curse, as we went 9 and 19 through 28 NLDS games. In total, 21 and 33 in the playoffs, and just 1 World Series appearance where we fell in 7 games to the Yankees. So there was a ton of heartbreak through our 10 years in Pittsburgh, but a lot of great stories. We set up this team for long-term sustained success, and considering how the team looked when we took it over, I think we can still be very proud of what we did in our 10 seasons. Now, over the next 10 years, what we're going to do from years number 11 to number 20 is let the computer run with the team that we've built here in Pittsburgh, but it will be totally hands-off. In the wrap-ups for our NHL franchise mode series, I usually say, okay, we're going from GM to president of hockey ops. We'll still do some off-season moves and do contracts and stuff like that. No, we're going to be letting the computer take complete control of the organization, and we'll just step back and see what the game does with the team we've built, with the prospects that we've put into the organization, and what could the next 10 years have for us. Because I am 100% certain if some of those seasons with those MLB leading teams had been calendar simulation, we would have won some World Series. But in the quick manage, we just couldn't get any good luck. The pitching would always fall apart, or the bats wouldn't come through. It was always something. Not to say excuses, but it was always something. So here in the 2033 offseason, moving into the 2033 season, year number 11, just a quick look at our team. I'll recap our stars and their storylines at the end of this video. I don't want to go too much into the history just yet, but I do just want to quickly show you how the team looks as we left it off after 10 years with Pittsburgh. Tristan Casas, probably our star here at 95 overall. Antonio Ramirez, our closer, drafted prospect, 94 overall. Shane McClanahan, we picked him up in the Gary DeSilva trade. We will most certainly recap who Gary DeSilva was at the end of this video. Edgar Hernandez, drafted pitcher, he's up to a 90 overall. Gavin Williams, 90 overall starting pitcher as well. Colton Cowser, got him to play third base for his defense and one of his secondary positions. He just had part of his first season with us. Elton Hendricks, a pitcher, we got him recently as well. Julio Rodriguez, we picked him up just for year number 10. He had a great season, 36 home runs. We'll see if he stays long term. Same for Jesus Sanchez, incredible year from him, batting .325. He's played only 2 seasons with us here in Pittsburgh. The longer term guys are coming up right here. Henry Castro, he's 24, a potential. I'm sure that he'll be a big part of the team moving forward. Tamar Johnson, one of the last remaining players who were here when we took over back in year number 1. He has spent his entire career here in Pittsburgh, 999 games played, 1 shy of 1,000. Kenny Robinson, we didn't draft him, but we traded for him before he was anything big, and we've been growing him nicely. He's been our leadoff guy for a couple of years. He's been doing very well. Steve Conrad, drafted catcher, I believe a 2nd round pick, so he has been turned into our everyday guy. He had an injury this past year, but he is our everyday guy at catcher. Kadmine Franco, we traded for him when he was just like a 70 overall B potential guy, like 3-4 years ago. He wasn't anything special. He was already 23. We didn't know if he would ever grow. His first full rookie season, he was 2nd runner-up for the Cy Young. He was incredible. Last season, not as great of numbers, but Franco has been very good. Feliz, closing pitcher. Gonzalez, great bat with solid defense as well. Ramirez in the outfield. Sims for a pitcher. Just some other names here as I scroll down the list. Some other guys who have been drafted or traded for, just been growing in the system. Some older guys. Cedric Mullins was here as depth. And then a lot of other prospects who you wouldn't recognize if you didn't know the series. But if you have been watching, like for example, Alberto Gonzalez, he's a great B potential, 79 overall, 19-year-old. Guys who we'll be looking for in the future. Tony Hogan, a potential. We've been growing him for a little bit. Josh Rojas is on the Mount Rushmore of this series. We picked him up as a little one-for-one trade when we needed a platoon second baseman back in 2024. And since then, he's won a batting title. He's won a Silver Slugger. He was just a little random 79 overall guy. He grew up into the high 80s. I'm going to recap that again at the end, but Rojas has been incredible. One of my favorite franchise mode stories ever. And of course, we still also have Brian Reynolds. I don't know if the game will bring him back for next season, but he has spent his entire career here in Pittsburgh, over 1,700 games played, and he has been a great leader for this Pirates squad. Down the list we go. That just about does it for how this team looks. So what I'm going to do now is go into the offseason. Look at the mode-specific settings here, so everything's set to auto. I'm going to have zero control over what happens. I will just recap how our lineup and our rotation looks at the beginning of each season, what we did in that year when it came to our standings and our player statistics, any awards, and we'll get through this rather quickly as we go all the way to the end of year number 20 and see if the team that we have set up can do anything in our absence through the next decade and finally get that World Series title. So without further ado, we'll sim through the offseason and get to the beginning of year number 11, 2033. All right, year number 11, 2033. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. What has the team done in our absence headed into year number 11? So we see that Charles Tyson has been brought up, one of our better prospects, 80 overall, great contact, very good. Sanchez was re-signed to a one-year deal at 12.6. Very good. Aside from that, most of the same team. Rojas in his final year with us. Yeah, that makes sense. Some really good players on the bench here. I would hope that Rodriguez and Cows are going to have to play a little bit here. Kierstad, we didn't have, Heston Kierstad, we didn't have him last year. So a 2-year contract for him in free agency. Right field, left field. So he was the one new acquisition when it comes to the bats. Looking at the pitching rotation, looks pretty much the same actually. Clark Schmidt is out here. Ramos, Uribe, who's that? Abner Uribe, all right. Cruz, Feliz, and Ramirez. So there's the lineup for year number 11, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how this team does in our absence with no management. Ranked first in contact, power, and pitching, but 18th in defense and 30th in speed for first overall. All right, so in year number 11, the Pirates finished 103-59. That is our third 100-plus win season in the last 4 years. Also a 5th consecutive NL Central title as we were 18 games up on the Reds. We were also the best team in the MLB once again. I'm not sure what the number is on that. That might be 4 years in a row now. We also finished first in contact, first in pitching, 4th in power. Defense increased to 6th and speed to 29th. Checking out the season stats now for our position players, sorting by the different statistics that we can look at. Most runs, Kenny Robinson at 109. We had 4 players with above 100 runs. How about that? Hits, Tamar Johnson, 194. Sheesh. Most home runs, Henry Castro hit 40. Wow. Up to a 90 overall now. Woo-hoo-hoo. First full season for him. 2 players with over 100 RBI as Castro hit 112. 24 stolen bases from Charles Tyson, who grew to an 84 overall. Batting average 318 for Tristan Cassis. Very good. 4 players batting above 300. On base percentage, Charles Tyson at 407. Slugging, Tristan Cassis at 610. And OPS, also Cassis at 1.015. And for the wins above replacement, always one of my favorite stats in MLB The Show, Tamar Johnson was at 7.2. Looking at our starting pitchers, both Hendricks and Williams had 15 wins, McClanahan 14, Franco 12, and Fuentes with 4. ERA at 2.52 for McClanahan. Of course, also the whip at 1.14. 23 quality starts from Elton Hendricks. Very nice to see that. And of course, the pitching WAR at 4.6 for McClanahan. Not the craziest numbers from our relievers, not the greatest numbers, I would say, but Ramos, Feliz, and Ramirez in their setup and closing roles looked a lot better. Very nice ERAs from Ramos and Feliz. Ramirez, 5.2 ERA, but 51 saves. Checking out the league leaders, McClanahan led the MLB in ERA at 2.52, and a lot of other stuff here. And we look at Castro with home runs, RBI, batting average, Johnson with hits, Robinson runs. Oh my goodness. We also won a 3rd consecutive NL MVP as Henry Castro won it in his first full season, leading the MLB in home runs with 40, so take a bow, Henry. We had a 3rd consecutive NL batting title as well. Let's check out Tamar Johnson with his .314 average. Charles Tyson, runner-up for NL Rookie of the Year. Elton Hendricks with a Gold Glove. Henry Castro with a Silver Slugger. And Tamar Johnson with a Silver Slugger as well. And to begin the postseason, here is how our lineup looks, so fingers crossed. Crazy that Rodriguez has dropped to an 81 overall because he's just not getting playing time. That is so crazy. A great example of why you got to play your stars. Bad decision by current Pittsburgh management, but here is our lineup, and here is our rotation headed into the 2033 postseason. In the postseason, I think it can be said that my theory came true a little bit as we finally made it out of the NLDS for just the third time in 8 appearances, doing so by sweeping the Reds, something we had never done via a sweep. Always like 5-game squeaker, never even in 4 games, so just putting that out there. But then in the NLCS, we drop in 7 games to the Braves, who would go on to win the 2033 World Series. So you know what? It was a good step forward. Sanchez came through batting .524, Gonzalez .421, so some players were definitely doing what they could. The power was there, yeah, 3 home runs, couple, yeah, and a small sample size through like 10 games or so. Yeah, all right, it was there. Was it the pitchers? Maybe Hendricks, Williams. Oh, yeah, not great. Should have had more from McClanahan. Even Steve Cruz was really good in 8 2/3. So there's year number 11, ladies and gentlemen. It comes to an end with us having gone further than we had previously, and like I said, making it out of the NLDS for just the 3rd time. So there's that. But we'll see what the AI manager does in the offseason headed into year number 12. Year number 12, 2034. It's kicking off with a game against the Rays. Gary De Silva on the mound. Of course, Gary the Stash De Silva. All right, here's our lineup for year number 12, ladies and gentlemen. Take a good look right here. Castro up to a 90 overall. Tyson up to an 84. Johnson coming off of a crazy season at an 88. We see, of course, that Josh Rojas no longer here with his low overall and the money that he was probably asking for. So thank you, legend. Julio Rodriguez down to an 81. Getting buried. That is so horrible. I wish I could do something about that. Then the pitching rotation. We see McClanahan in the 5 spot this year as Gavin Williams is our ace. All right. Tony Hogan has grown up to now be in long relief. And for the closing pitcher, Feliz is our closer. And the game has Ramirez 95 overall as the setup man. I guess that's an AI decision. I'm actually kind of impressed. After his 5.2 ERA last year, Feliz with 1.44. So the game is trying him out as the closer. You know what? It's an interesting decision. It's good to see that the AI actually does some thinking. So there's our lineup heading into year number 12. First in contact, power, and pitching. 4th in defense, and 28th in speed for 1st rank overall. Year number 12 comes to a close, and we did not finish atop the MLB, but we once again won the NL Central with a record of 94 and 68, 11 games up on the Brewers. We finished as the 2nd ranked team in the league as well when it came to all those things in top right corner. 1st in contact and pitching, but 12th in power, 17th in defense, and 29th in speed. Charles Tyson, another big year from him. Let's start looking through the stats right now. 95 runs from both Tyson and Johnson. 203 hits from Tyson as well. There's that. That's what that contact's going to do for you. 32 home runs from Henry Castro. 100 RBI from Tamar Johnson. 24 stolen bases from Tyson as well. Kenny Robinson bat .330. Wow. 399 on-base percentage for Kenny Robinson. 553 slugging percentage for Robinson as well. And 952 OPS for Robinson to boot. For our starting pitchers, Franco had 17 wins. Look at that. ERA 3.42, also best going to Franco. Fuentes so-so at 4.88. Same for his whip at 1.5. Franco at 1.16. We see 22 quality starts from Edgar Hernandez. And for the wins above replacement, Franco at 3.4. Pretty even throughout all 5 of our starting pitchers. Our relievers did better this season, and our closers, yeah, so Feliz was our closer with 43 saves. Ramos, though, only pitched 12 innings as an 89 overall. That's crazy. But yeah, closing wasn't incredible, but the relief pitching was a bit better. For league leaders, Charles Tyson led the MLB in hits with his 203. Only 2 awards this season, but we finished runner-up or second runner-up for a ton of them. For our wins, it was Tamar Johnson with the Silver Slugger at second base, and Tyson for the Silver Slugger in the outfield. And headed into the 2034 postseason, here is our lineup. In the postseason, we once again swept the NLDS, which was once unheard of as we took down the Washington Nationals. But then in the NLCS, we fell in 5 games to the Milwaukee Brewers, who went on to lose in 5 themselves to the Oakland Athletics, who are your 2034 World Series champions. The bats came through for the most part at the top of our lineup, but we see some tough averages down here. Yikes. For our pitchers, sorting by innings pitched, yeah, not great numbers either. So I think we were lucky to make it as far as we did probably. And then for the closing pitchers, oh, Antonio Ramirez, you are not helping your case. All right, so there's year number 12, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what this team does in the offseason, headed into year number 13. As we've made it to the NLCS in back-to-back years for the first time since we've been following the Pirates, but something has to change to push this team to go all the way. In the offseason, Pete Alonso also retires at the age of 40. One of our legends in this series. Will recap his stats at the end. But just to say, congrats on a great career, Pete. All right, year number 13, and here is how our lineup looks to begin the season. The one big thing that stands out to me is Johnny Wetzel. It looks like we got him in free agency, 3-year deal. He'll be coming to Pittsburgh as our new third baseman. Very good to see. Aside from that, some little overall growth here and there. Very nice, very nice. Now, the pitching's starting to look pretty wonky here. We have so many good pitchers in our system. Hernandez, Williams, Fuentes, Logan, and Franco are the starting 5. Then you got Hogan and Trejo are 2 A potential guys in long relief. A bunch of really good mid-relief. Looks like we probably signed 1 or 2 guys in free agency. I think just 1. This guy, Corey Yeager. But then on top of that, Feliz is the closer. Ramirez is set up. Ramos is here as an 89. Bartley's an 87 with high potential. Just not enough room for these guys. I might have to go in and do a manual trade in here because guys like who are the second setup guy are going to be pitching like 12 innings the entire season. So we got to keep an eye on that. We'll see what happens. But here's our squad for year number 13. First in contact, power, and pitching, but 19th in defense and 30th in speed. First rank overall. Let's see what we can do. In 2035, we once again finished atop the MLB and the NL Central with a 104-win season. The Pirates go 104-58, finishing first ranked on top of the league, of course. First in contact and pitching, second in power, 26th in defense, and 28th in speed. Checking out the regular season player stats here. 90 runs for Johnny Wetzel in his first year as a Pirate. 172 hits for Cassis. 33 home runs for Castro. 116 RBI as well. 30 stolen bases from Nelson Gonzalez. 319 batting average for Dirk Jacobs, a player who was a prospect, I believe, because this is his first season. So look at that. All right, Dirk, I see you. I guess he got called up at one point. Carmen Garcia in center field up to an 86. Whew. All right, on-base percentage, Cassis 405. Slugging, Wetzel at 510, and OPS, Wetzel at 888. Looking at wins above replacement, of course, finally. And looking at wins above replacement, Conrad at 5.0. Look at that from the catcher, Stevie. We had a lot of starting pitchers in here between the rotation and in long relief, but 16 wins from Corey Logan. Look at that, 88 overall, finally getting his first full-time year in the rotation. Corey Logan. Franco 15 wins, very nice. ERA 1.42 from Trejo, but only 25 innings pitched. Logan at 2.74 in a full season. There are the whips as well. 19 quality starts from Edgar Hernandez, and when it came to the wins above replacement, we had Corey Logan at 4.5, but Tony Hogan there at 4.3. Shout out to him who did it while pitching. He pitched a lot this year. Tony Hogan. All right, shout out to you, Tony. Oh, you know what? I think Fuentes got traded. That's why. Fuentes must have gotten traded because Hogan was one of the long relief guys. Yeah. So Tony Hogan went into the rotation and looks like the rest was history. For the relief pitchers, okay, good numbers from them. And from the closers, this is what I was talking about. 9 innings for Ramos, 39 for Ramirez. It's not right. We're going to have to make some sort of trade if we want, Ramirez is a 96 overall. He's got to play. The AI GM just doesn't know what to do, so we'll have to do something about that. For the league leaders, Corey Logan led the MLB in winning percentage, Castro in RBI, and then Cassis in base on balls. And for the awards, Corey Logan wins the NL Rookie of the Year. Shout out to him. While also being second runner-up for the NL Cy Young. What a season. Also throw in another gold glove at second base for Termarr Johnson, and it will be a Silver Slugger at first base for Henry Castro, the first ever non-DH Silver Slugger for him, as he kind of took over first base for Cassis, who has transitioned to DH. Heading into the 2035 postseason, here is the lineup, so let's cross those fingers. In the 2035 postseason, we swept through the NLDS once again. Somehow we're getting it done on the calendar. 3 games straight against the Giants. Then in the NLCS, it was a 7-game thriller against the Dodgers. We beat them in 7. After being down 3-2, we came back and won 10-5 in Game 7. And now here we are for just the second time in 13 years in the World Series, ladies and gentlemen, taking on the Seattle Mariners. Let's see what happens. Game 1, 5-2 loss. Game 2, 14-8 win. Game 3, 6-4 loss. 6-3 win. It's a 2-2 series, 4-2 loss. Game 6, we gotta win to push it to 7, but the Mariners win in 6. Oh, not enough gas in the tank, and the Mariners win the 2035 World Series as the Pirates fall in 6. Oh, heartbreaker. True heartbreaker. Awards here. Gabriel Gonzalez was playoff MVP. What? How about that? Of all the players, postseason MVP, Gabriel Gonzalez, 3 home runs, 10 RBI. Castro first runner-up and Cassis second runner-up. Gonzalez batting .362, getting postseason MVP. The second time that we lose in the World Series but have the postseason MVP on our team. Here was our lineup. It looks like everybody did pretty well. Tyson, what? 203 from Tyson. Mr. 99 contact batting .203. 187 from Johnny Wetzel, of course, one of our most valuable players, if not the most. 232 from Johnson. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. And our rotation, Hogan was in the first spot there at 5.18. Pitching didn't look too great. Franco got put into long relief. Same for Williams. The AI just doing crazy things. Tommy Mav with crazy ERA. And the closers did all right. But yeah, heartbreaker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is the 2035 season come to a close. World Series appearance, that was great. But the Pirates have more work to do if they want to win it all. Two big retirements in the postseason as Brian Reynolds called a career at 41 years of age. After finishing with us in 2032, he signed a deal in Baltimore for 2033. But then after that, the game actually signed Reynolds to play in AAA and AA for 2034 and 2035. So he got back into our system for 2 more seasons. That was great to end it off with him as a part of the Pirates organization. 41 years of age, almost his entire career in Pittsburgh. Hats off to you, my friend. We'll recap his numbers at the end of the episode. And one other retirement, as Josh Rojas also retired at 41 years old. After the 2033 season, which he played with us not being a part of the organization anymore, still had some good numbers. He did not play in 2034 or 2035, and he retires at 41 years of age as a legend and a Mount Rushmore member with Brian Reynolds. Enjoy your retirement, boys, and we'll try to get you a ring as we bring you back on as scouts or consultants. All right, year number 14, 2036. Let's hit it, ladies and gentlemen. Here is our lineup to begin this season. Dirk Jacobs, look at that glove as well. He's our leadoff guy. He had a good season last year. He'll be leading off. The rest of the lineup looking pretty good. In the bench, so I see a few names that are not there, like Kenny Robinson gone now. Looks like they have Dirk Jacobs replacing that infield spot. Troy Huff, now our backup catcher. So a few things like that I noticed from here and there. So if I did a little special goodbye for every single player, it would take way too long in such a massive lineup. But you can see a few players that change from year to year. Hernandez, Hogan, Corona, Logan, and Franco are the starting 5. Trejo and Williams, they're in long relief. So still a bit too much of a logjam for the pitching. Same for the relief and the closers. I went ahead and did make a manual trade for one of those 4 potential closers. We still have 3 of them. I'd want to trade another one, but I'm hoping that the game does something before I have to. But from 4 down to 3 is an improvement. Hopefully that spreads out the innings a little bit more. And after having gone to the World Series last season, let's see if we can do it again. First in contact, power, and pitching, 28th in defense, 21st in speed, finally a little faster, and first ranked overall. 2036 saw us tie our franchise record of 113 wins, going 113-49, winning an 8th consecutive NL Central title, and of course, best team in the MLB, only team to hit 100 wins, 113, my goodness. First in contact, pitching, 3rd in power, but still at the bottom for defense and speed. Those bats must have been alive this season. Yeah, 116 runs for Dirk Jacobs, who turns out to be a great prospect. All right, Dirk, I see you. Look at that glove again. We had 4 players above 100 RBI. With 208 hits, Tyson and Jacobs tied with 208. 35 home runs from Castro, 34 from Charles Tyson. After an off year, but just down, the first year that he didn't hit 300, I guess. He comes back in a big way this season. Charles. Look at RBI, 135 for Tyson, 52 stolen bases from Dirk Jacobs. Who is this guy? 6'5". 341 average from Tyson, 327 from Wetzel, 5 players batting above 300, 424 on-base percentage from Tyson, 575 slugging, and an OPS of 1.000 for Tyson as well. Wow, looking at the wins above replacement in this one, let's see how valuable these guys were. 7.4 for Tyson, and Johnson quietly at 6.0 as well. Sheesh! Looking at the starting pitchers, Edgar Hernandez, what a year from him, 21 wins. None of our pitchers were worse than 3.83 ERA. Wow. So great year for the ERA and the whip. Our starting pitchers really came through this season. 20 quality starts from Tony Hogan. Big Tony. And looking at the WAR, 4.2 from Tony as well. Relief pitchers, good numbers from them as well. I'm not sure what this guy was doing. I guess he was acquired by a trade, I think. The AI acquired him. Okay. And then for the closing pitchers, yeah, pretty good stuff. 47 saves from Ramirez back in the closing role. Wow. Good season all around, as evidenced by the 113 wins. For league leaders, Hernandez led in winning percentage and wins, and we also saw stolen bases, RBI. Of course, a lot of awards to get through. NL MVP to Charles Tyson, very well earned. Edgar Hernandez, second runner-up for the NL Cy Young. Charles Tyson wins the NL batting title, and Wetzel was first runner-up. Tyson wins the Hank Aaron Award, and Wetzel is first runner-up. Gold Glove at first for Castro, Gold Glove at second for Johnson, Silver Slugger at shortstop for Jacobs, in the outfield for Tyson, and that does it for the awards. Wow, what a year. And here's our lineup headed into the postseason. After a year like this, now here's the experiment. When we do the simulation in the calendar, can we finally win a World Series? Here's your Pirates squad. Let's raise the Jolly Roger. And we're back in the World Series, ladies and gentlemen, for a rematch against the Mariners. We took down the Marlins in 4 games in the NLDS. In the NLCS, the Diamondbacks went up 2 games to none. Then we won 4 in a row to take it in 6. And now here we are back in the World Series. After losing it in 6 games against the Mariners last year, we're back to try again and get our revenge. Game 1, 8-3 loss. Game 2, 12-5 loss. Game 3, 5-1 loss. Game 4, we get swept. This team is cursed. Oh, man, the Mariners sweep us out of the World Series after we were, what was our record there? 3-7. We were 7-3, and we lose 4 in a row. Oh, my goodness, as we lose back-to-back World Series. Let me guess, we got postseason MVP though, right? Of course, playoff MVP to Henry Castro. The 3rd time that we lose in the World Series, but still have a player win the MVP award, the playoff MVP, that is. Oh, wow. Looking at the statistics here in the playoffs, looking here, did our bats come through? The bats came through. Gonzalez, 173. He was the MVP last year. Wetzel bats 125 after being a runner-up for the batting title in the Hank Aaron Award, of course. Of course. How about our pitchers? Did they do well? Who's this guy? Josh. Okay, he was a relief guy. Okay, but how can he pitch so much? Tony Hogan, so-so. Corona, so-so. No, the pitchers struggled. Negative WAR, yeah, a couple of negative WARs there. Ma and Booker. And the closing pitchers, Feliz choked. And Ramirez closed it down, though. 6 saves from him in 7 1/3 innings pitched. So another year and another heartbreak, but there's still 6 years to go until we get to year number 20. I think we'll try and pick up the pace a little bit now that there are less players who we know about. More of them are leaving our team. That gives us all the more reason to try and win ASAP. Also, shout out to Shane McClanahan, who retired in 2036 and was inducted to the Hall of Fame. He spent a few seasons here in Pittsburgh, part of the big Gary Da Silva trade, and he definitely made his mark. All right, year number 15 now. More big changes in Pittsburgh headed into 2037. Here is our lineup. A lot of similar faces, but different overalls for sure. Johnson down to an 83, Cassis down to an 82, so the future is changing here. Lots of bats in here, probably too many bats. I might consider trading a bat for an arm, because if we look in the pitching rotation, yeah, not a lot over here. Some of our good pitchers ended up walking in free agency. Too bad that we couldn't trade them for value. We had a lot of good A potential guys who have just never been able to get into our rotation because it's been too full. But Hogan, Hernandez, Logan, Trejo, and Corona is our starting 5. I'll have to fix a few things because for as much praise as I was giving this game, it just doesn't know what it's doing. Franco, 86 overall, goes on waivers, but they keep Palacios here, 78 overall. So I'll move some things around. We'll definitely have Franco back on the team, so don't need to worry about that. Franco will be, I guess, in long relief. That's crazy to say, but I guess that might be the case. Tony Hogan is our ace. Gavin Williams is gone, so I guess Franco's going to be in long relief, waiting for injuries or whatnot. Good mid-relief, solid for the setup and closers. Of course, as always, Feliz had crazy numbers last year, so the game put him back in as closer. Ramirez into the setup role. Whatever. Let the game make whatever decision it wants for that kind of thing, but Franco will definitely be back in the rotation. If he's on the team, we're not putting him in AAA, that's for sure. So start this next season, 1st in contact and pitching, 2nd in power, 28th in defense, yikes, 19th in speed, and 1st ranked overall. Oof, another year atop the MLB with a 112-win season, 1 win shy of tying the franchise record, which we tied last year. 112-50, winning the NL Central, 27 games up on the Brewers, and once again the only team in the league, actually no, one of 2 teams in the league to hit 100 wins. Let's check out these player stats now, always very exciting. Let's see, 105 runs from Nelson Gonzalez. Woo! What growth from Nelson Gonzalez, all right. 195 hits from Charles Tyson as well. 31 home runs from Castro, 122 RBI, 33 stolen bases from Jacobs, 32 from Gonzalez. The Gonzalez brothers here, Nelson and Alberto, let's call them that. Maybe not Ohio and Nebraska, but yeah, they're not that far from each other, right? 349 average, but really, Steve Conrad, 325. Wow. Stevie, okay, down to an 83 overall, but one of the best seasons, if not the best of his career. 429, yeah, if we take out the spring call-ups, the September call-ups, sorry, it would be 398 on-base percentage for Steve. It would be 528 slugging percentage for Tyson, and it would be 923 OPS also for Tyson. Looking at the wins above replacement, we see 6.2 for Tyson, 5.9 from Conrad as well. Looking at our starting pitchers now, 19 wins from Tony Hogan, love to see it. Franco, great year in kind of long relief, but he pitched a lot of innings in the end. I'm glad we kept him, absolutely. The game was trying to pull a fast one on me there. On top of that, sorry, really good ERAs from everybody. Tony Hogan looked incredible as our ace. I wonder if that's going to be a Cy Young win for him. Quality starts, sorry, 25. Whoa, but 24 also from Hernandez. And then, of course, looking at the WAR, 5.2 from Hogan. Great year from our starting pitchers. Relief pitching, not horrible. Tommy Ma struggled a little bit. And you know what? Our setup and closers did well. 53 saves from Luis Feliz. Yeah, all right, we'll take it. Also, just a quick reminder for some of the players who are still around over here. Edgar Hernandez, third-round pick in 2023. This is 2023 onward is all for what we did. We picked Corey Logan in 2025, Feliz in 2026. Charles Tyson, we received him from the White Sox in a trade back in 2026. All right, so that's how we got Charles Tyson. Anyone else who you want to see, you can see as we scroll down here. Just a little reminder for you if you didn't know how we got those players. League leaders, a lot here from Tony, from Hernandez. My goodness, Castro led a lot of different categories as well. In the awards, let's see. Feliz wins Delivery Man of the Year as the best reliever, or best closer, I guess. Cy Young to Tony Hogan, our first since Gary De Silva. NL Rookie of the Year to Billy Sanchez. And the NL MVP to Henry Castro. Wow. So NL MVP goes to Henry Castro. The Cy Young to Hogan. This is the second time that all three of the pitchers finishing 1, 2, and 3 are from our team. Hernandez, first runner-up, and Trejo, second runner-up. My goodness. So Tony Hogan, congrats, buddy. Luis Feliz, reliever of the year, the first time that we've ever won that award in all of our years. Rookie of the year to Billy Sanchez. He didn't even do that much. 296 at-bats, bat 274. All right, there you go, Billy. Silver Slugger at first base, of course, to Henry Castro. Always a lock in there. Charles Tyson, outfield Silver Slugger. And there you have it. Another big year for the awards. Headed into the postseason after back-to-back World Series losses. Here's our lineup. I'll make sure that the game's not calling up anybody weird and sending down people who shouldn't be sent down. But here should be our lineup headed into the postseason. Let's cross those fingers. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do indeed make it back to a third consecutive World Series as we take down the Brewers in a 4-game NLDS and then beat the Rockies in a 5-game NLCS. We now face the Minnesota Twins in the World Series. They just swept Kansas City out of the ALCS. Let's do it. After losing in 6, then losing in 4, we got another chance here to win the World Series, to do right by some of the veterans who are still here. It might be some of their last chances. Tony Hogan's on the mound for this first game. 5-3 loss. Game 2, 5-4 win. 1-1 series. Game 3, 18-2 win. We're up 2 games to 1. Up 3 games to 1 with a 13-3 victory. I know this could skew the results, but I really don't want to miss it if we do win. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to quick manage, but I won't touch anything. I won't do any actual quick managing. It'll just be simulating through it. I know it's probably going to affect it a little bit, but if we win the World Series, I cannot miss it. So I'll just go ahead and sim through what we can sim through. Only hitting that triangle button. Let's start doing it. All right, I'm going to get you to, let's jump to the 7th inning. All right, here we are in the 7th inning. It was Elton Hendricks on the mound for the Twins, by the way, one of our former pitchers. 7th inning, no runs there. We're up 4-1. Do we keep Tony Hogan in there? I think we'll keep him for another inning. There we go. All right, 4-1 into the 8th inning now. 8th inning, no runs scored. I think we're going to pull Tony Hogan now. We got to make a little bit of decision-making here. We're going to go ahead and put in, tough call here. Do we put in Ramos? Ramos, 2.35 on the year. Feliz, 2.1. Let's put in Ramos. Let's go Francesco Ramos for the 8th inning. Here we go. Fly out, single, strikeout, fly out. 9th inning now. Here we go, 9th inning. It's going to be Peter Hawkins, fly out, ground out, and fly out. In the 9th inning now, we're going to go ahead and put in the closer, Luis Feliz, 53 saves on the year. Great couple seasons, good numbers so far. Here we go. Pitch, walk. Pitch, walk. 2 walks. Runners on first and second. Pitch, strikeout. We could see a double play here, so we're going to go ahead and enter the game. Here we are, 2 outs away. No control, just in to watch. Up by 3. Runners on first and second. Feliz there gets swung on, but that's going to go foul. Delivery. Swung on and missed. That's strike 3 for the 2nd out. We are just 1 out away, ladies and gentlemen, with the tying run at the plate. We are 1 out away from our first World Series since 1979. 58 years later, Gibbons at the plate. First pitch slider is a ball. The 3rd consecutive World Series appearance, the 4th since we took over this team. Technically, we're not here anymore, but we're still definitely in the owner's box tonight. GM data, the team of AGMs, they're all present here in Minnesota. Delivery taken again in there for a strike. Great pitch for the four-seam. Now just 1 strike away, ladies and gentlemen. Luis Feliz with the 4-1 lead. The delivery swung on and missed. The Pittsburgh Pirates are your 2037 World Series champions. 15 years after we took over this team, 58 years later, 3 consecutive World Series, the best team in the league for the last how many years? 5, 6, 7 years. And the Pirates are finally World Series champions. We can finally say it. Termarr Johnson gets his World Series ring. Who else has been here for a lot of that time? Tristan Casas, so many names. I don't know what's with the very slow-mo celebration here. I've seen this last couple months for some reason on MLB The Show. But we'll take those celebrations even if they're in slow motion. And there it is. Wow, in all of its glory. Oh my goodness, we finally get to raise it. I wish you had like a captain to go and raise it. A lot of legends are here tonight. Rojas, Reynolds, G-Man Choi, Andrew McCutchen. So many players are here in attendance tonight as the Pirates, they fall to their knees in the outfield. World Series champions. Garcia, look at the cleats on him as well. Garcia. And there they are, all around the trophy. Big smiles, raising it over their heads as 2037 World Champions. 58 years later, we get the Pirates their 6th ever World Series title. So there it is, 6th World Series champion. There you go. In what, we're getting close to 200 years of history. Wow, take a picture, ladies and gentlemen. It will last a lifetime. Steve Conrad, Henry Castro, World Series champions. Tony Hogan, what a show from the Cy Young winner. So sad that we had to beat Elton Hendricks, but Feliz also gets his 7th save of the postseason. He was clutch. Now, checking the awards, we finally get postseason MVP and even World Series MVP. Charles Tyson, the World Series MVP, and also the playoff MVP. Look at that. Charles Tyson, what a trade with the White Sox. I don't remember what trade it was. I'll throw it up on the screen right now. I'll go back in the archives and find it. This was a trade that got us Charles Tyson back with the White Sox in whatever year it was, and it definitely paid off. Gonzalez, Tyson, Castro, Jacobs, Wetzel, they all came through. Sanchez had a tough batting average, but Steve Conrad, what a year from him. He gets, in his best season, he becomes a World Series champion as well. Tyson at 1.2, of course, makes sense. Makes sense. And for the pitchers, Tony Hogan, great numbers. Not incredible, but really good. And when it mattered the most as well. And that's what it comes down to. Wow, Ramirez, World Series champion. That's why I didn't put him in at the end. I didn't like his numbers that much. Cadmine Franco didn't pitch an inning, but he's a World Series champion as well. Lots of players we've had a long time. Edgar Hernandez, probably the player we've had the longest in terms of guys that we brought in. 32 years old. Couldn't win it with his fellow Cuban, Gary Da Silva, but Edgar Hernandez is a World Series champion. Wow. Enjoy the off-season, gentlemen. Relax, enjoy, and let's try to run it back and do it again. All right, we are defending World Series champions headed into 2038, year number 16. I had to advance the first couple days because the lineup was totally out of whack. Just goes to show you can't let the AI do totally everything. Everything gotta have a little bit of control or else it just goes totally to shambles. So just to show you, this is our lineup heading into this season. Gonzalez, 89. Jacobs, 87. Tyson, 89. Castro in here. Casas has moved on, so Castro now the full-time, everyday, always first baseman. Thank you to Tristan Casas, a legend in this series. Garcia up to an 89. A lot of bats on the bench here. Johnson still here as a 79 overall, but a lot of bats as we have some good growing players. In the rotation, Hogan, Hernandez, Trejo, Franco, and Logan with Corona as long relief. Mid-relief looks pretty solid with our 390 overall guys in the setup and closing roles. Now, last season it was, 47 innings pitched, 60 and 182. So it wasn't a horrible divide. It worked a little better having 3 than 4. We'll try it again like that and see what happens. So let's try and run it back for another World Series. We are first in contact and pitching, 3rd in power, 28th for defense, but 17th in speed to keep us first ranked overall. In year number 16, we win 111 wins. The last 3 years have been 113, 112, now 111. I suppose we can live with that. 111 wins, the only team in the MLB to break 100 once more. Still sitting on top. Looking at the player stats now, 131 runs from Nelson Gonzalez. Oh my goodness, what a player he's becoming. The Nebraskan Beaut. We have 197 hits from Castro, 43 home runs from him as well. The most since he had 40 in his first rookie season, first full season. 116 RBI, 27 stolen bases from Dirk Jacobs, 311 average from Nelson Gonzalez as well, 409 on base percentage, 640. Only Matlock played a little bit, since he got called up, but Johnny Wetzel really 604 in a full season, 996 OPS for Wetzel as well. And we look at the WAR, we see 6.4 from Gonzalez, and Steve Conrad, another quiet, very valuable season. For the pitchers, Trejo had 15 wins. He was runner-up for Rookie of the Year a couple seasons ago. Great stuff from Trejo. Edgar Hernandez still getting it done in his, I guess, somewhat older age at 33 now. He's still doing very great things. Over 2,000 innings pitched with us. Corona, Franco, really good numbers from everybody this year for the starting pitchers, especially, of course, Tony Hogan, who's looking for another Cy Young here, 2.56 ERA, 93 overall is Tony. If we look at the WAR, is always 3.5, between 2.9 and 3.5 for all of our starting pitchers. Relief pitchers had okay numbers, for the three that saw the innings this year. Ramirez saw the most. Who was really getting our saves then? That's odd. We didn't have a good year for the saves. We were just winning games by that much. I don't know. Only 15, 17, 19. Whoa, Yeager. Sorry, I didn't see Yeager. Yeager with 35 saves ended up doing a lot of the save opportunities, the close opportunities. Wow, Corey Yeager. Look at that. And the closers didn't end up doing that much as their numbers weren't as great. Tons of league leaders this season, as always. I can't go through all of them. I think I'll just have to let you live with what we saw on the screen there, or else the video is going to take forever. Nelson Gonzalez won the Hank Aaron Award, and the NL MVP also going to Henry Castro. Castro just keeps getting it done. Gonzalez also won a Silver Slugger at DH. Henry Castro, Silver Slugger at first base. And there you have it for the awards. No Gold Gloves in back-to-back years. For the first time in our entire franchise mode, Very interesting. We've won at least one Silver Slugger every year, but we've never gone more than 1 year without a Gold Glove. So there's the 2038 season. Heading into the postseason, we are defending World Series champions and looking for a 4th consecutive World Series appearance. We're back! In the NLDS, we take down the Brewers in 4 games. Second time we do that in as many years. In the NLCS, it was a 7-game thriller as we beat the Giants. And now here we are in the 2038 World Series to face the LA Angels. 4th consecutive time that we've been here. Let's do it. Game 1, 8-7 loss. Game 2, 9-3 loss. We don't like coming out strong, do we? Oh boy, 7-6 win, okay. 4-3 loss, down 3 games to 1. 6-3 win, we're back in it. 3-2 series, game 6, now hosting the Angels. 7-4 win, we're going to 7. Game 7 of the World Series. Does it get any more dramatic than this? At PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Corona is ready to go energy-wise, but I don't know. Trejo at 91 overall didn't look as good. He's 1-1 with 11 ERA. Even there's Franco, who we've been able to rely on in the past as well. Who's got that clutch? 71, 55, I don't know. Really hard to say. 47 clutch doesn't bode very well for Corona. Hogan is cold, but he does have energy, and he's our ace. I'm thinking we start Franco and then go Hogan. Let's see what we can do. Let's start Franco and then maybe go Hogan. How's everybody looking here in the batting order? Billy Sanchez batting 143. Oh no, but Steve Conrad's got to be in there. Hold on a second. Dirk Jacobs, he can play second. Dirk's going to play second. Billy's coming out for Conrad. And then no one else looks that great, so we'll keep in everybody else, even though Griffin's at 243. Okay, here we go. Let's play ball. And I was about to say I'll see you in the 7th inning, but we might have to pull Franco before then for the energy. So let's just start flying through it. Let's go. 1st inning, 2nd inning. Okay, there you go. 3 runs for us in the 2nd. 3rd inning, 4th inning. Franco's getting tired. He gives up 1 run. 4th inning. We're in the 5th inning now. He's tired. We're going to go ahead and pull him now. We're going to go to Hogan. We're turning to our ace, Tony Hogan. Here we go. All right, make it through the 5th. 5th inning, we get a run as well. 6th, we make it through. 7th inning, we'll keep going. Tony, 1 run there. We get 2 in the 7th. That's big. We're going to go ahead and turn now to... We didn't turn to him last time. Let's turn to him this time. Antonio Ramirez. He doesn't always look great in the playoffs, though. Fly out, hit by pitch, strikeout, strikeout. Good. 8th inning. 2 more runs. Can we get even more? 4 runs! That's an 8-run lead. Let's give it to Feliz to close out, I suppose. Let's give it to Feliz here. Let's do it just 2 outs away. Strikeout, walk, strikeout. Let's go in for the last one. 1 out away. Feliz once again on the mound to get us a World Series. Can we just finish this off with a runner on first? 1 out away. It's going to be popped up. It's going to center field. And ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Pirates are the 2038 World Series champions. Back to back for the first time in almost 200 years in franchise history. The 7th World Series title in Pirates history. After a 4th consecutive World Series appearance, we win it in back-to-back years. After all those years of suffering, we win it back-to-back. Taking down the Angels in a huge comeback, a 7-game victory over Los Angeles. Back-to-back champions in years 15 and 16. GM Data and all the old legends once again in attendance to watch the Pirates raise that beautiful trophy. Let's go ahead and snap a picture. 7th World Series championship, 2038 world champions. Go ahead and take that screenshot. It will last a lifetime. Steve Conrad ends up being player of the game. 2 for 3 with 2 home runs. GM Data made the call down, said, listen, I know it's not my call anymore, but I'm telling you, this has to be done. Conrad, 2 home runs, 4 RBI. Henry Castro, 2 for 4 with a home run as well. Rivera, 2 for 4 with a home run. Johnny Wetzel, 2 for 4. Wow. Tony Hogan gets the win as well. The ace, back-to-back World Series champions. Feels good to be a Pirate. Looking at the awards here, let's see it. Steve Conrad, the World Series MVP. Wow. And even the playoff MVP. Wow, Big Steve. Look at him. 423 average, 4 home runs, 11 RBI. Wow, our 2nd round pick back in year number 2, I think it was. Now 31 years old, over 1,000 games with the Pirates, our everyday catcher, the Ohioan MVP, Steve Conrad. You just love to see it. Checking out the bats here in the postseason. Griffin, so-so, but Castro, Jacobs, Garcia, a lot of those big names, Wetzel, Conrad, of course. Actually, yeah, he had 67 at-bats in the end. He should have definitely been there for Game 7. Good thing we made that call. Very good thing we made that little decision. For the pitchers, the numbers weren't amazing. Franco looked really good. We made the right call in Game 7. Franco, then Hogan. Couple more rings for them. And for the relief pitchers, yeah, Yeager looked good. He had a lot of those saves this year. Delgado, Feliz, Ramos. Antonio Ramirez, so-so. He's never been great in the postseason, but he's been a trooper here. 35 years old and another ring for him. So we're back-to-back World Series champions. The team's getting older. More changes will come. Some tearful goodbyes. Heading into 2039, can we make it 5 consecutive World Series appearances? Showtime for year number 17. Let's check out our lineup for 2039. I totally forgot about Charles Tyson last season, by the way. He was out for the postseason. I suppose he was injured. He only had like 400 at-bats as opposed to the usual 600 plus, so I guess he was injured for the postseason. Nelson Gonzalez, 92 overall, coming off of all that hardware last season. He's becoming the star of this team. 92 overall leadoff man. Wetzel's getting tired. We had to trade away Tamar Johnson, making like 17 million as a low 70 overall, so unfortunately we had to do that to free up the necessary money to keep this team competitive. Pitching rotation, Tony Hogan still our ace, Trejo, Hernandez, Franco, and Corona, with Logan, Ramirez, Antonio Ramirez, with Alan Ramirez, both here now. Antonio down to an 85 overall, making a lot of money, so he's got to do well in a mid-relief role this season because the closer will be Ramos, it looks like. The guy who closed last season went to free agency. Feliz will be set up, and also Luke Delgado. So there's our team for this season. Some new faces, some old ones getting older. We are ranked first with first in contact and pitching, second in power, 30th for defense, that's not good, and 14th for speed. Let's hit it. So after being about 500, something like 22 and 21 through the first 40-45 games, we go on a tear and finish the season 108 and 54, an incredible record after the first 45-50 games. Once again, the only team in the MLB to pass 100 wins, and we sit atop the league once more. More incredible seasons all around from the Pirates. 137 runs from Nelson Gonzalez, 214 hits from Charles Tyson back to his old self, 204 from Gonzalez, 37 home runs from both Castro and Tyson, 34 from Gonzalez. I think that's the first time we see multiple 30-plus home runs in a very long time. Steve Conrad, you still got it, baby. Don't tell me you're a 76 overall. The guy just hit 25 home runs, batting 292. RBI, 125 for Castro, 31 stolen bases from Gonzalez, 329 average for Charles Tyson. What a machine. 396 OBP, 592 slugging, and 988 OPS. Looking at the wins above replacement, 6.9 for Tyson, 6.8 for Gonzalez. Great worth. For our starting pitchers, Tony Hogan wins 19 games. Look at that. ERA, Corona struggled a little bit this season. Yeah, down to an 82. He saw some struggles this year. Hernandez slowing down maybe a little bit as well, but Hogan at the top leading the team. He had 20 quality starts. And looking at the wins above replacement, 3.8 for him. Franco at 3.5. Love it. Relief pitching was solid enough, and in the closing pitching, yeah, okay, we'll take it. Definitely from Ramos, who had 51 saves for sure, but where is Ramirez? Am I missing something here? Hold on. Wow, Ramirez got sent down to AAA. What? Ramirez had a 5.91 ERA. The team just not impressed with the Submariner. 570 innings pitched in his career. 222 saves with 53 blown. 3.39 ERA from the closer, 1.13 whip. Wow, so they sent him down. We'll probably make sure he gets traded in the offseason for the cost that he has. Maybe we'll add him to the postseason roster. I'll see what I can do. But there is the regular season, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check out the league leaders. Tony Hogan in winning percentage and Ramos leading in saves. That's great. Gonzalez led in triples, Tyson in hits, and Gonzalez also in runs. Looking at the awards this season, we got the Delivery Man of the Year to Ramos, the second time we win it, best relief pitcher, and the Cy Young going to Tony Hogan once again. Of course, to no one's surprise, Henry Castro, another Silver Slugger at first base. Todd Griffin wins one. Woo, Todd Griffin. Okay. Hey, he's been in the organization for a little while now. All right, he wins the Silver Slugger at shortstop. And then Charles Tyson, of course, winning one in the outfield. So once again, no gold gloves. We had Castro finish first runner-up for the first baseman. But once again, no gold gloves this season. Still enough hardware, I think, to keep us content. Now let's head into the postseason and see if it will be a third consecutive World Series title, which would come on the back of a fifth consecutive World Series appearance. And yes, indeed, here we are for a fifth consecutive time in the World Series, ladies and gentlemen, now facing the Toronto Blue Jays for the 2039 title. We barely made it out of the NLDS as we beat the Diamondbacks in 5, then took down the Padres in 5 as well. And now here we are facing the Blue Jays. Game 1, 9-3 loss. Game 2, 7-4 win. It's a 1-1 series. Up 2-1 with a 4-1 win. Up 3-1 with an 8-3 win. Looking to close it out in 5 now. I went into quick manage and the Blue Jays ended up winning a tight 1 4-3 in Toronto, so we'll bring it back to Pittsburgh at PNC Park now. Trejo on the mound. He's been looking very good. So has Edgar Hernandez. So Trejo and Hernandez will both see an opportunity here if it comes to it. Anybody we want to pull here? Wetzel batting 132. Yeah, I already pulled him last game. Let's bring in Dirk Jacobs, who I brought in for him. So Dirk Jacobs will replace Wetzel once again. Aside from that, the lineup remains the same. I will see you in the 7th inning. Top of the 7th, and we are up 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep it rolling here. Bottom of the 7th, nothing there. 8th inning. Trejo, you're looking amazing, but no need to risk it, I don't think. And he's been dealing only 3 hits. Let's do it. Let's go. 8th inning. Let's go. Makes it through another inning. Let's go. No hits given up in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th now. Let's go. 2 more runs. That should be enough to end it. We're going to go ahead and give the final few pitches. So Feliz is no longer here, right? That's true. No, he is. Feliz, but Ramos is our guy. Gotta give it to Ramos. What a year he has had. Francesco Ramos only pitched 5 innings this postseason. Let's do it. Pitch, leadoff double. Amazing. Back-to-back doubles to spoil the shutout. Fly out, strike out, and we're down to the last one. The delivery from Ramos, swung on, and is that going to find a gap? No, get it to first. Let's go, little scoop to first, and the Pittsburgh Pirates have completed the three-peat as your 2039 World Series champions, winning their 8th title in franchise history and 3rd in a row. What a few years it's been for Pittsburgh, and continues to go to show how different that calendar simulation is. Your 2039 World Series champions, their 8th in franchise history. Snap a picture. It will last a lifetime. For the awards, Luis Rivera was World Series MVP. The 85 overall center fielder hit 2 home runs, batting .333. And Nelson Gonzalez was the postseason MVP with 5 home runs, 11 RBI, while batting .353. Henry Castro struggled a little bit, but the rest of the team picked up the slack, and we had a great effort from the stars. And we look at our pitchers. Trejo was the star in this one. I think Edgar Hernandez was incredible as well. Tony Hogan was really good. Franco struggled a little bit, but the rest of our pitchers came through. Ramos was solid with 5 saves as well. What a year, what a year. 3 consecutive World Series titles, and we have 3 seasons left. Let's see what this team can do headed into 2040, and if we can keep pushing for World Series appearances. Year number 18, welcome to the 2040s. We've gotten faster in the offseason. We're still first in contact and pitching, 4th in power, 25th in defense, but now 10th in speed. All right, here's our lineup headed into 2040. A lot of familiar names. A new catcher here, Thomas Delory, as Steve Conrad has, he's down to a 76 overall. Honestly, I still play him every day with the numbers that he has, but that's the decision that the AI has made. So there's the rest of the lineup there for you if you are curious. Then looking at the pitching rotation, Tony Hogan, once again, our ace, of course. Edgar Hernandez down to an 88 overall in the 3rd spot. A couple of these guys in long relief, mid relief, and Ramos will continue to be our closer. Since winning 113 games a few years ago, we've won a little bit less each year, 108 last season. Now, I'm okay with that, but let's see if we can crack 100 once again for 2040. So like I said, we continue to win a little bit less each season, only 102 this year, but 102 and 60 is a fine record by me, still leading the MLB once again. I unfortunately started simulating into the postseason by accident, so I can't really show you the stats in the same way that I always do, but looking at the league leaders here, Hogan, Hernandez, Trejo, all in the conversation for some league leaders. Great to see from our pitching this season. Griffin led the league in hits, and we also had Tyson leading in on-base plus slugging at OPS. So I'd probably have to do it the slow way here. Tony Hogan, another great year, 2.84 ERA, 14 wins from him, only 1 loss. That's crazy. Trejo, 3.41 ERA, 17 wins. Hernandez, 15 wins and a 2.9 ERA. Is that the best ERA he's ever put up in a season? Yeah, so great from the 35-year-old. Franco, 4.95. Tough year from him, 11 and 10. Alan Ramirez, 4.37. His second full season with us. Ramos had 44 saves, but Miles Tierney, up to an 89 overall, saw a little bit of closing action as well. And we already spoke a little bit about our batters, but looking through a few of them now, Garcia had 157 hits, 101 runs, 293 batting average. Gonzalez, 287 with 25 home runs. Griffin, 26 home runs and a 312 batting average. Tyson, 34 home runs, batting 327. What a machine. 194 hits from him. This guy is just such a tank. So another great season from Pittsburgh, and we'll head into the 2040 postseason as the reigning 3-peat champions, looking to make it a 4-peat as well as 6 consecutive trips to the World Series. And speaking of Charles Tyson, he won the 2040 Hank Aaron Award, as well as another Silver Slugger in the outfield, and Todd Griffin also won a Silver Slugger back-to-back now at shortstop. But in the 2040 postseason, for the first time in 8 years, the Pirates lose in the NLDS, getting swept by the St. Louis Cardinals, who would go on to lose in 7 in the World Series to the Chicago White Sox. So really, really rare to see that from this Pirates team. 12-3 loss, 8-2 loss, and 4-2 loss. The pitching just wasn't with it. Tony Hogan fell apart in that first game. Very unfortunate to see. The bats just didn't come through either. Greg John, shout out to him. Wow, okay. But yeah, Gonzalez, Griffin, Sanchez, Delory, tough. And the pitchers, Tony Hogan really fell apart in that first game. Only got through 1 2/3 innings. Relief pitching wasn't great. I don't know why they put these guys. Why are they playing this? The 68 overall is going to go in and pitch, but Ramos never saw a single inning. So it's the mix of, if we went into quick manage, we'd always lose. And at the same time, if we let the computer do everything, we'd also lose. So it's a mix of a little bit of control and a lot of calendar simulation, but c'est ça. All right, c'est ça la vie. Our 289 overall closers didn't see a single inning in those 3 games. Okay, so there's the 2040 postseason, ladies and gentlemen. We got 2 years left, and we'll want to make them count headed into 2041, which will be year number 19. Year number 19, 2041, and the Pirates may have taken a bit of a step back in the offseason, now ranked 4th in the league, 4th in contact, 3rd in pitching, 15th in power, 26th on defense, but up to 9th in speed. When you see the lineup here, Todd Griffin, Dirk Jacobs, Charles Tyson, of course, still the big names, Castro, John Rivera. By the way, I went and looked it up. I forgot Todd Griffin was one of our last draft picks. He was a 2nd-round pick in, I think, our 2nd to last season in Pittsburgh. So great to see that he turned out to be something. Conrad down to a 71 overall. It's too bad because he still puts up the numbers. numbers. And that's about it for the bats here. We'll have to hope that these older guys can still get it done. Henry Castro now 33. I don't know why he's at such a downgrade being only 33, but what are you going to do? The pitching is where a lot of our money is. Tony Hogan, that big contract that keeps getting more expensive. It is a backloaded deal. Yikes. Trejo, Hernandez, by far our longest-serving member. Ramirez, Franco, of course, long-serving member with the team. The bullpen looks like this with the big dogs and the setup and closing roles right there. Ramos is our guy. Looks like Feliz is gone now, so the team making a lot of changes out of our control, unfortunately. Is this the season in which our 6-year streak of 100-plus wins and our 12 years of NL Central titles comes to an end? Let's find out. So in year number 19, those streaks did indeed come to an end. This Pirates team did make the postseason, which was great, going 87-75, but in a wild card spot for the first time in 12 years, not winning the NL Central. So back to the wild card for the first time in a very long time. Still one of the better teams in the MLB, but yeah, not at the top, as the Cardinals were incredible. Looking at the player stats right here, 91 runs from John and Tyson, 170 hits from Tyson and Griffin, home runs 28 from Tyson, 91 RBI from Castro, Rivera, and Tyson, 26 stolen bases from Rivera, 315 average for Bobby Comstock. Really? Where'd this guy come from? Oh, by a trade, I guess. All right. 396 OBP, 529 slugging percentage to Luis Rivera, and 887 OPS to Rivera as well. Looking at the WAR, 6.2 from Rivera, so great year from Luis Rivera. I just really miss Gonzalez. Maybe in this last season, year number 20, we got to look at getting Gonzalez back in here. Aside from that, we look at our starting pitchers. 15 wins from Trejo. The numbers this year, yeah, definitely a little rougher than they have been. Still decent enough for our starting pitchers. Relief pitching was so-so, and the closing pitcher, yeah, not great from Tierney and Ramos. Who got a lot of the saves? Delgado ended up getting 43 saves. Luke Delgado, okay. Trejo led the league in shutouts and complete games with 4 of each. Very nice. And a couple of silver sluggers as Todd Griffin wins his 3rd in a row at shortstop, and Tyson wins yet another one in the outfield. Heading into the 2041 postseason, we'll be facing the Giants as we look to march our way back to the World Series. And we do indeed take down the Giants in the wild card in 3 games, but for the 2nd consecutive year, we get swept by the Cardinals in the NLDS. Just this year, they were the 1 seed and we were the wild card. But just like last year, the Cardinals would go on to lose in the World Series. Looking at the stats from this season, from the postseason, I should say. If we're looking at who had the most at-bats, Greg John looked good. Yeah, I was looking at the bats weren't that bad, actually. Was it the pitching? Yeah, pitching looked pretty rough. Ooh, Edgar Hernandez got roughed up. Ramos got roughed up a little. Yeah, pitching was not ideal. So year number 19 comes to a close. We're headed into our final season, which will be year number 20. We're going to try to make a couple of moves in the offseason. Maybe bring back Gonzalez. Maybe bring back one of the legends of this franchise. Let's see what the offseason has in store headed into 2042, our final season. Whew, year number 20, 2042, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, let's do it. We are the 6th ranked team, still 1st in contact, but now 9th in pitching, 3rd in speed, but 14th power and 16th on defense. Here's our lineup. I went out and reacquired Nelson Gonzalez. Welcome back after 1 year in Chicago. Welcome back, Nelson. The rest of the team looks pretty good. I like our lineup. The bench looks pretty good. Steve Conrad had to move on. The overall just got too low. Stevie, what a legend. We'll look at him at the end of the video. Speaking of legends, for the pitching rotation, please welcome back Gary the Stash Da Silva. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, Gary. After spending 8 years with the Pirates, we sent him to Tampa Bay. He was incredible in the regular season, but choked it too much in the postseason, unfortunately. He spent 10 years with Tampa Bay. No World Series there, but some very good numbers, as you can see. But now we're taking him back for one last year. He has 4 more years, a ridiculous contract that he signed to, so thankfully we won't have to do it anymore, as we'll suspend reality after this season. In the real world, we'd probably try to dump it or find a way to get out of it, but we don't need to worry about that right now. Trejo, Hogan, Ramirez, Hernandez, Franco with starting 5, Da Silva in long relief. Our closer this season is Miles Tierney, up to a 90 overall. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Year number 20, do or die, one last ride. And just entering the season here, just a quick recap of who our oldest players are. Edgar Hernandez, 3rd round pick back in 2023. And it doesn't say it because we traded for him, we reacquired him, but 1st round pick in 2023. Also, of course, his Cuban fellow countryman, Gary Da Silva. So let's see if the stash can get us to one last World Series and what would be the first of his career. 2042, let's hit it. Now, here is a season that I am very proud of. We were around like 45 and 44 at one point. I made a couple trades. I got another starting pitcher in. Our pitching was struggling. I brought in a relief pitcher, didn't touch the bats, and we end the season 96 and 66, once again winning the NL Central, 12 games up on the Cardinals. Very proud of this team. We finished tied for the second best record in the league as well, as the Mets had 107 wins. But for second best, we were tied with the Giants for 96 wins. Checking out the stats here, Todd Griffin surpassed 700 at-bats this season. Wow. I'm not sure if I've ever even seen that. So 112 runs from him. Nelson Gonzalez, welcome back, 106. Tyson, 105. 199 hits from Griffin. 33 home runs from Nelson Gonzalez. Really happy to have him back in the lineup. Glad I reacquired him. Little nudge to the current GM. 130 RBI from him. 113 from Dirk. 42 stolen bases from Luis Rivera. What? Oh my goodness. 325 batting average from Gonzalez, 405 OBP, 591 slugging, and 995 OPS. Was he also our most valuable player? No. Rivera at 6.4, tied with Jacobs. Then Gonzalez at 4.7, and Griffin 5.4. Our starting pitchers, Tony Hogan, 18 wins. Vina, I picked him up from the Padres, 16 and 8 on the year. Great season to end off with. Edgar Hernandez struggled a little bit down the stretch. We got a save? What? Okay, Edgar Hernandez. Numbers were so-so from the majority of the season for our starting pitchers. And when it came to the WAR, 3.4 from Tony Hogan. Relief pitchers, not the greatest numbers from them. Emerson Stroud, one of the guys that I picked up. Good numbers from him, but the rest, Same for our closers. Yeah, Holly, 4 saves. Okay, Tierney, 17, but actually Delgado ended up being our closer the majority of the time. And of course, can't forget Gary De Silva. He was actually down in AAA. I have to call him back up for the postseason, but he's here. 11-5 for Gary with 4 saves. All right, 148 innings pitched for the now 68 overall. 4.26 ERA, 1.5 whip, but it doesn't matter. He is a monster. By the way, 19 quality starts from Hogan. Another great year from Tony. For the league leaders, Tony led the MLB with 18 wins. And we led in a lot of the batting categories here as well. As you can see, doubles, stolen bases, RBI. A lot of them there from Gonzalez, Griffin, Rivera. Well done. So, of course, that leads to some awards. Nelson Gonzalez, welcome back. Hank Aaron Award for him. Ray Cervantes, NL Rookie of the Year. Gonzalez also the NL MVP and the NL batting title. Whew. Really glad we went out and reacquired him. Didn't know that he would have that good of a year. Oh my goodness, Nelson Gonzalez, the Nebraskan Beaut. On top of those awards, we see... So Ray Cervantes ended up getting Rookie of the Year. He was the fill-in for Henry Castro. His Castro's down to like a 70 overall now. I suppose we drafted him, and look at that. All right, Rookie of the Year. Good for you, buddy. On top of that, we see no Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. We see Bobby Comstock winning Silver Slugger at third base. All right, look at you, Bobby. I see you. Dirk Jacobs wins it at shortstop, beating out Todd Griffin, not giving him another one. And then Gonzalez wins one in the outfield, but Charles Tyson cannot snatch up one of those 3 in the outfield. First year in a little while that Tyson does not win any Silver Sluggers in the outfield. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. 20 regular seasons done. Now we're on to our final postseason opportunity, 2042. Can we get Gary a ring? One last shot for a lot of these veterans. Let's see what happens, and it all starts in the NLDS versus either the Giants or the Padres. But in the postseason, after 3 consecutive World Series titles, we now finish the trifecta of 3 consecutive NLDS losses. Once again, losing to the team that would go on to represent the National League in the World Series, but this time that team won it as San Diego beat us in 4 games in the NLDS and went on to win the World Series. Looking at our stats in the postseason, who came through, who didn't. Rivera, not great. The bats seemed to be okay, though, in the end. The pitching, though... pitching was so-so. Did Gary pitch? Yes, he did. 5 innings, striking out 4, 5.4 ERA. There he is. The relief pitchers, of course, the relief pitchers are always the death of us. These random 70 overalls are always the death of us. And, of course, our best pitchers did not pitch. Why would they, right? Thus bringing us to the end of our 20-year simulation with the Pirates, ladies and gentlemen. Before we wrap it all up with the Excel sheet and all the numbers, just a couple players I wanted to highlight. Steve Conrad, who still hasn't retired yet, a 60 overall now at 36 years of age. Almost his entire career spent here in Pittsburgh, over 1,000 games with the Pirate. A 280-plus hitter with 176 home runs as a Pirate, 665 RBI. Well over 1,200 hits. He was incredible as our everyday catcher for so many seasons. Steve, thank you for the memories. Henry Castro, one of our older players in the series. We got him from Cleveland. Now here he is ending his career in Cleveland. That's pretty funny. Over 1,400, close to 1,500 games, I would say, as a Pirate. Over 850 runs as a Pirate. About 1,600 plus hits as well. 300 some home runs. Over 1,000 RBI. A career 275 plus batter. And a very interesting staple at first base. To say that we went from Pete Alonso to Tristan Casas to Henry Castro, we were always locked in at first base, as we'll see soon in the wrap-up with the Silver Sluggers. And we'll do a wrap-up on Gary De Silva at the end, but I want to highlight, of course, Edgar Hernandez, who was a trooper. Almost 20 years as a Pirate since he was drafted. 565 games with Pittsburgh, pitching almost 3,000 innings, 221 wins for him, going 221 and 120, ERA of 3.86, whip of 124, 252 quality starts, 40.1 WAR. Edgar Hernandez, another player to whom we say thanks for the memories. There are so many other storylines we could highlight and player stats we can go and look at if we looked at some of the careers we saw just in the last 10 years from this second half of simulation. I wish you could look at all of them. If we looked at Carmine Franco only, this is maybe just one more I want to look at. He was incredible. He was kind of like a toss-in in a trade. He ended up being one of the main pieces of our rotation for so long, pitching over 2,000 innings as a Pirate his entire career here in Pittsburgh. 314 starts, going 165 and 80. Had some saves in there as well. 3.72 ERA, 1.24 whip. Over 1,500 strikeouts. Cabinet, thank you for the memories again. So many other players that we could look at. Tony Hogan, of course. Just guys who have great stats. And that could just be another video in and of itself. So I'll have to hold myself back a little bit. You saw the numbers as the years went by. And even without giving a specific focus to each and every player, we know that there were some incredible storylines. So after 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, we can now start to wrap it all up, looking at the Excel sheet. I won't put it into any special graphics or anything. I thought I'll just break it down right here with all the raw data. So as you can see on the left here, seasons 1 to 10 in blue are the years in which we were the GMs, the real hands-on management, and years 11 to 20 are when we let the computer take the team we built and run with it. Now, I said I would be totally hands-off in years 11 to 20, and I mostly was 99.9% of the time. I didn't do any contract negotiations. I didn't do any drafting, scouting, nothing, but there were a couple of times where I did some roster management when the game was putting like an 88 overall in AAA and keeping a 68 overall relief pitcher up, stuff like that. I did do a very minimal amount of management, so just complete transparency on that, but for the most part, I let the computer run with it. So as we can see here, we missed the playoffs in year number 1, but after that, 19 consecutive postseason berths, totaling more than the Pirates had in their entire franchise's history, 17 appearances in 141 years, and now 19 appearances in 20 years. In the video, a couple times I said close to 200 years of history. Really, it's over 160 years of history, but getting a little carried away with myself sometimes. Just to say, an incredible streak that we went on there. On top of that, 16 NL Central titles as well. So we start breaking it down from years 1 to 10 when we were, really hands-on, doing the weekly live streams. Through 10 seasons, we went 969 and 651, giving us an average record of 97 and 65 over the 162 game season, 59.8% winning percentage with postseason appearances in 9 out of 10 years and the NL Central in 7 out of 10 years. From the next 10 years, when we took a step back, we went 1,030 and 590, bringing our average record to 103 and 59. Really crazy to see that over a 10-year span. 63.6 winning percentage, 10 for 10 for the postseason, and 9 out of 10 for the NL Central, bringing our grand total through 20 years to 1,999 wins, one shy of 2,000 and 1,241 losses, bringing our average record over 162 game season to 100 wins and 62 losses. Crazy to see that over 2 decades. A 61.7 winning percentage, and like I mentioned, 19 out of 20 for the postseason and 16 out of 20 for the NL Central. Now, it was a very different story in the postseason, especially when you look at the difference between our management seasons and our stepping back consultant type seasons. So years 1 to 10, in the wild card, we were 5-5, 50%. In the NLDS, we were 9-19, 32.1%. Crazy when we're winning 59.8% of the time in the regular season. We were 32.1% in the NLDS, and overall, we were 38.9% in the playoffs in total. In the NLCS, we were 44.4%, and in the World Series, we were just the one-time 3-4, giving us a 42.9 win percentage. Now, as soon as we went into the simulation just in the calendar, we saw a huge increase. The wild card up to 66.7%, the NLDS especially up to 57.6%, the NLCS to 63.2%, and the World Series up to 50%. We were 14-14 in our 5 appearances. So even though it's still much less than our 63% winning, well, not that much less, it's still less, but the difference between 59 to 38 is very different than the difference between 63 and 57. So our winning percentage in the postseason was 57.8%, bringing our grand total to 80-76 through 20 postseason runs, giving us a 51.3 win percentage. Really something through 156 playoff games. Now, next up is the awards. There are a ton of awards to go through here. It was incredible the amount of awards that this team won. When we look at the Gold Gloves right here, we won 15 Gold Gloves through our 20 seasons. We'd seemed to stop here after, what was it, year number 15? Yeah, year number 15 here. We seemed to stop after year number 15, pretty much after Tamar Johnson left the team. He had 5 out of those 15 Gold Gloves, winning the most of all of our players through those 20 years. So 15 Gold Gloves from the Pirates. The Silver Sluggers are where we excelled. 38 Silver Sluggers in 20 years. 6 of them going to Tyson, but a lot of other players who had 4, who had 5, especially the first baseman. You see Alonso, then Cassis, then you jump down Castro. So the first base, we had it locked up for the best hitting first baseman in the league for, close to 2 decades. On top of all these other players that we see here, Gonzalez, Reynolds at the beginning, of course, Rojas, Happ, those guys at the beginning of our series. Really crazy to see 38 Silver Sluggers, almost 2 per season. So well done for the Pirates in that regard. Moving on from the Silver Sluggers, we see that we also had 7 NL batting titles and 5 NL Rookie of the Year awards. Most of those guys went on to do great things. Gary De Silva, Tamar Johnson, Corey Logan, Sanchez was pretty good towards the end. And then even Cervantes, we didn't get to see much from him, just winning it in year number 20. But 5 Rookie of the Year awards, 7 NL batting titles, 9 NL MVPs, winning it almost every other year. Henry Castro was NL MVP 3 times. So hats off to him especially. 7 Hank Aaron awards as well. We see that Gonzalez and Tyson both won 2 each, then some others earlier on in the series. O'Neal Cruz having won 1 earlier on as well. For the NL Cy Young, we won 6 of those, 4 of them going to Gary De Silva over the span of 5 seasons, and then a couple in 3 years going to Tony Hogan, one of our drafted prospects who became our ace. Incredible story from him. We had 6 postseason MVP awards, even though we only won 3 World Series. We had 6 postseason MVPs. Tristan Cassis winning the first, then Gonzalez, Castro, Tyson, Conrad, and Gonzalez. Always somebody different. 3 World Series MVP awards, Tyson, Conrad, and Rivera. And finally, 2 Reliever of the Year awards going to Feliz and Ramos. So a ton of hardware through our 20 seasons here in Pittsburgh. To wrap it all up now, I just want to highlight the players from this series who have become nominees for our channel Hall of Fame, the Data 782 Hall of Fame. After every series comes to an end, whether it be NHL or MLB, we take the biggest legends, the greatest stories, and we put them on the ballot for viewers to vote for induction to our channel Hall of Fame. So from the Pirates series, I'm going to run through a few of our Mount Rushmore names and their stories for why they're getting the nomination. The stories pretty much lie within our first 10 years, but we know that for players like, let's say, Edgar Hernandez, who didn't get a nomination, if we had done the entire 20 years, then that would have been a player who definitely would have been on the ballot. So through our 10 seasons of management, our nominees are starting with Gary the Stash De Silva, drafted first overall in 2023. You can go ahead and pause whatever you want to read, but I just want to run through a bit of each guy's little blurb that I wrote. He started 264 games over 8 seasons and had a record of 123-64, pitching close to 2,000 innings, 181 quality starts, 33 complete games, 23 shutouts, over 40 wins above replacement, 3.42 ERA, 1.20 whip, 9.39 Ks per 9 with over 1,800 strikeouts, 2.16 walks per 9 innings, and just at 1.01 home runs per 9. In the playoffs, though, De Silva often struggled. We couldn't, either he was on it and the bats weren't, or the bats were and he wasn't. So although the issues that we faced did not fall entirely on his shoulders, he was not able to really find great consistency, and that's why we made that trade for Shane McClanahan. But that being said, De Silva was still a headliner in Pittsburgh over his 8 seasons. He was the NL Rookie of the Year in 2024. He won 4 NL Cy Youngs, doing it back-to-back twice, and if we were to continue, I have no doubt that he would have found his way home. That's exactly what he did in year number 20, and I think in year number 21, 22, while he's still getting his $40 million, would have tried to really get him that ring. Next up, Josh Rojas. We looked at his stats at the end here, just flashing the stats on the screen for you when he retired at 41 years old. But when we had picked him up, Josh Rojas, it was just as a little toss-in. We needed an upgrade from Christian Arroyo at second base in year number 2. We looked at trade block at the 2024 trade deadline, and we said, hey, Josh Rojas, he's the 76 overall, he's 29 years old, he's just a platoon kind of guy, whatever, career 261 hitter. You know what, let's just get him. Expiring contract, who knows if he comes back. Arroyo was a year younger and 1 overall higher, but we said, you know what, he seems to simulate a little bit better, let's go for it. Rojas would go on to play over 1,000 games as a Pirate, doing a second base, third base, shortstop, DH, all over the infield, and he reached even into the high 80s for overall. He bat .302 over 1,225 games as a Pirate, so almost 1,500 hits, almost 800 runs, close to 200 home runs, close to 700 RBI, winning a Silver Slugger in 2026 and the NL batting title in 2028. Tons of clutch moments, and just a little trade for a depth guy ends up being one of the stars of our franchise. It was incredible. Next up, there's also Brian Reynolds. He was here when we took over the squad in 2023. Reynolds seemed to be one of the bright spots on the team. We knew that we'd have to, kind of build around him and want to keep him around by giving him a competitive team to be, a part of. Reynolds did end up staying for our entire 10 years and a little bit more in Pittsburgh, becoming the heart of our team. He was a .281 batter in almost 500 games as a Pirate when we started the series, but by the end of 2032, he had played over 1,700 games as a Pirate, batting almost 300 at .298, almost 2,000 hits, over 1,000 runs, too shy of 300 home runs, and over 1,000 RBI, 4 Silver Sluggers, 1 Hank Aaron Award, and the 2024 NL MVP. Next up, there's Ian Happ, who we signed as a free agent in 2023. We didn't hear about him in this wrap-up video, but Happ, Reynolds, and Rojas was the 1, 2, 3 that teams feared for years. Happ, we signed him as a free agent in 2023. Again, he was a 29-year-old, 79 overall. We weren't sure what he was going to do. We just needed him for the outfield, $6.5 million per year, and he turned into one of the greatest free agent signings ever. He joined the Pirates as a .251 hitter, pretty good numbers with the Cubs, not bad. And in 6 seasons, unfortunately, it was only 6 seasons because he wanted like $30 million after, he would play 935 games, batting .307 with 1,169 hits in just 6 seasons, over 600 runs, 160 home runs, close to 600 RBI, 3 Gold Gloves, 2 Silver Sluggers, and the 2027 NL batting title. Happ was incredible. Another one here to finish it off is Pete Alonso. We needed to fill in the hole at first base in 2024. He was a big fish in free agency. He had been disrespected by the Mets. We picked him up on a 6-year deal. He had good numbers with the Mets, 235 home runs, batting .257 in 845 games. He had some Silver Sluggers. He was looking good, but we picked him up. He ended up staying with us for only about 4.5 years, but he really made his mark. We had to move on from him because of his declining attributes that were catching up to him, and we, made a big deal for the Tristan Casas blockbuster. But in his time in Pittsburgh, he mashed. Through 664 games as a Pirate, Alonso bat .265, swatted 162 home runs with almost 700 hits, 400 runs, and 463 RBI on his way to 4 consecutive Silver Sluggers for each of his full seasons as a Pirate, 2025 NL MVP in his first full season in Pittsburgh, and during a tumultuous time for the Pirates, Alonso's star power had a huge impact on our franchise. Honorable mentions: Jamar Johnson, Stanton, Edgar Hernandez, O'Neal Cruz, Tristan Casas, Antonio Ramirez, G-Man Choi. If I added in players from the last 10 years, from years 11 to 20, of course, there would be Tyson, there would be Castro, there would be Gonzalez, a lot of other legends that we could throw in there. But for our 10 years and the Data 782 Hall of Fame, these are the nominees that will be on the ballot moving forward from now until if the time comes that they get inducted. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, 20 years with the Pittsburgh Pirates organization on MLB The Show 23, 10 years as manager, and then 10 more years as a consultant role. Whether you just watched this recap video, little parts of the series here and there, or tuned in for every live stream over the past 11 plus months, I thank you for taking the time to enjoy. Get ready for our next series coming out on MLB The Show 24 in just a few weeks' time. If you're watching this long after it's been uploaded, check out the channel every Tuesday evening as of now at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be streaming franchise mode on MLB The Show 24 or whatever MLB The Show game it is at this point, hopefully continuing to go on. NHL 24 or whatever NHL it is on Thursday evenings. And on top of that, franchise mode, sports breaking news and analysis, and lots more fun content here on the channel. So if you enjoyed, leave a like. It would be very much appreciated. I know that there's less views for MLB than there is for NHL, but it does take many, many hours to make this breakdown. I love doing it. It's free entertainment, but a like would be very much appreciated if you have the moment. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. It's a great community here on the channel and be that much greater with you as a part of it. Join the team here on YouTube or even join our Discord server, link in the description. Talk about your own franchise modes, the questions that you might have. Come talk sports with us over there, fantasy sports as well. Another great community that would be that much better with you in it. Leave your thoughts down in the comments on what your favorite moments from this series were. Who were your MVPs? What's your Mount Rushmore? Just what are your thoughts in general after these 20 seasons with Pittsburgh? We finally got those 3 World Series titles. Crazy to see the difference between the playoffs and the regular season, but almost 2,000 wins, just one shy, 19 postseason berths. I think we can say that we accomplished what we were brought into Pittsburgh to do. Now the question will be, which team do we take over next in MLB The Show 24? So leave a comment also with your thoughts on that. Will it be an expansion? Will it be a relocation? Is it another team that is in desperate need of our help? That's what we'll be deciding over the next couple of weeks. So once again, thank you so very much for taking the time to enjoy this series, whether it was just this video, this episode, or multiple over the last year. It's been a really fun time. I'm looking forward to doing it all over again. So thanks again for taking the time. I'm looking forward to seeing you once again in the next one.